Hello, and welcome to the Be Your Own Dang Hero podcast. I'm your host, Pauline McKinney. Today's episode is called Temptations and Refusals, and it's a good one. So let's jump in, shall we? We've gone through two acts within this greater hero's journey. The first act being the departure from the known world into the unknown world, all of the things that come with that, refusing the call, answering the call, and then going into act two, which was really all about initiation, really allowing the old limiting beliefs version of you sort of die metaphorically into a stronger, newer you that is tested, that overcomes challenges, and that faces ordeals. We have just talked about your sweet rewards, and you think that's the end, right? But it's actually not. It is really the end of the second act. And we are making our way into Act Three, which is the final act of this journey. And it's all about the return. See, the hero, when they face the ordeal and they get the sweet reward, they don't just get to stay in that world, the unknown world, the cocooned world where they're learning and facing monsters. They have to actually bring their reward back with them into the known world. And that's what we're really going to cover today, which I'm so excited to talk about. So let's kick this off with a question. Have you ever had to sequester yourself away in order to make a change? Whether that's going back to school and getting your degree, or studying for a certification, or trying to lose weight. And you go into this special place where you have to do all of these things, and it's an intense experience. And then you do it, you get the reward, and then it's time to come back into normal life. That is really what happens when you return. And that return can be pretty scary because you have been so intensely focused and you've been on your own journey and you've changed as a person. And now you have to reintegrate that into real life. This episode is all about refusing that call, refusing to do that, avoiding going back, and in wanting to stay and enjoy this special moment before you move on and return back into the 9 to 5. I know that I faced this as a new mom when the deadline was looming for me to come back to work. I was just starting to get my bearings as a mom. I was starting to really enjoy it. And I found myself really uncomfortable and stressed out about returning because before I went on maternity leave, I thought, oh, this is going to be so simple. I'm going to do my 3 months as if it were like jail time. I'm going to do my 3 months and then I'll come back and everything will be fine. And that's just not how it really was. Everything had changed inside of me. At that point, I loved being a new mom. Everything was different. I had a totally new routine and I didn't want to go back to work. So I found myself Googling, part-time jobs or how to quit your job or whether we make enough for me to be a stay-at-home mom. So that was really the internal conflict going on before I returned back into the known world. In the hero's journey, Joseph Campbell calls this the refusal of the return. This is such a normal step that it has its own unique section within the return. It's the initiation of the return. The hero is at the threshold. They know they're supposed to return and bring this gift back into the world, and yet they don't want to. Christopher Vogler calls this the road back. And he talks about how, obviously in the movies, it has to stay action-packed and interesting. So in his description of this step, it's really about the hero overstaying their welcome in this special world where they've got mastery, they've defeated the enemy, but they don't want to leave and go back to the real world. So what will keep happening, according to Christopher Vogler, or in the movies that you'll see, is that the villains will keep coming. For example, Gollum in Lord of the Rings, you have Gollum who keeps coming back for Frodo because Frodo didn't kill him. And so Frodo would not know peace until the day either Gollum died or he went back to the Shire in the real world and could be away from Gollum. And so that is one example of how you can't stay. And sometimes heroes are literally chased out so that they have to keep going to move the story forward and return back into the world. Another theme that Christopher Vogler talks about is this idea of temptation. So if the hero has some sort of temptation, like they love gambling or something, then they would keep facing the temptation, even though they already won the reward. And that temptation could then result in them losing the reward. This will keep compounding until the hero finally returns back into the known world with their gift. I think in movies, I thought of two examples. And the two examples I thought of were in the second Jumanji movie, when all of the heroes had finally overcome the curse and they broke it, and it was time to return back into the world. The lead character, I can't remember his name, who's played by The Rock, he loves this new self that he has found, this new level of himself. He loves how he looks in this special world, and he doesn't want to leave. He really second guesses his abilities and his success, and he wants to stay in this special world with the girl that he likes and stay there. And that is the perfect example of this momentary refusal of return. Even though he knows he eventually has to go back, it's this hesitation, it's this avoidance. The other movie I thought of was in Minecraft, how you had Steve, who had had such a great time mastering the Minecraft world, that when everybody else was ready to return, he kind of wanted to stay back because he was afraid. There was a hesitation of like, where am I going to fit in to the regular world? And that is exactly how it feels when you're refusing the return. Here are some more real world examples of how this would play out. Let's say you're finally eating better. You're adopting a healthier lifestyle. You're caring about what you eat and what you put in your body. And that's just not how your family eats. And that's not how they live. And they feel really uncomfortable when that kind of stuff is brought up. And so you feel really hesitant to talk about the new path in your life. And you want to share it, but you feel really scared to, because you don't want to be judged and you don't want to feel like an outcast. Let's say you're newly sober and you've been sort of falling off with your friend group. You haven't been going out with them because you've really been avoiding these places that aren't healthy for you. When it's time to reintegrate with your friend group, you're getting like pressured to come back and join the group and go to the bars. You're feeling really hesitant because you're worried about undoing all of that progress. Or, me as a new mom, how I was really hesitant to go back to work because I was scared that I would lose my bearings as this mom, and in this world where I was finally starting to find my confidence, having to go back into the world of work. And the thing is, it's hard. I would say this is even harder than starting an adventure, because you are a completely changed person having to face the prospect of re-entering the world when no one else has changed, but you're a completely different person. And so what this can look like most of the time is avoidance. You start to avoid going out, you avoid your friends, you avoid your family, you avoid the environments that were known before, because you just kind of want to hold on to this and it doesn't feel safe yet to return. This is actually what's cool, is that this is actually an exact mirror to the refusal of the call. And if you remember, when we talked about the refusal of the call, I talked about how it's very normal to refuse the call. I also want to normalize the refusal of the return. I think that these are both periods where you're grappling with the unknown. You're grappling with taking that big step into the threshold, and it can feel unsafe. And I think that it's just like with the refusal of the call, it's important to listen to yourself and find safety, but also to know that you may just be carried back. You could be carried back just like you could be carried into adventure. You may be carried back into the real world, whether you want to or not. And so you can't really have the eternal vacation or the eternal school experience because you just love being a student and you don't actually want to be in the real world. You eventually have to go back and make your way with your gifts. What's happening in this step is really You want some time to integrate these new gifts, these new perceptions or this new version of yourself that's emerging. And it's okay to want that safety and that buffer before you fully return, because maybe it is a very vulnerable new state, a fragile state that can be undone with one wrong night at the bar, or one drink too far, or going off your diet and then gaining back everything you just lost, or something like that. So it's okay when things feel scary. It's okay to try to protect and fortify what you're building, this newer version of you that maybe has more self-respect, that isn't afraid to speak up, but isn't ready to face the crap they're going to get in their friend group when they dare to say they don't like something or change the dynamics. And that's the problem, is that a lot of people can feel threatened when you change and they don't want you to change. They want you to stay the same. And that's a direct conflict between what you want and what people expect of you. And so there does have to be some time where you fortify yourself, you sort of build some space in so that you can emerge as a truer version of you. And that's what this entire hero's journey is all about. It's about becoming the truer version of you, betraying yourself less, respecting your desires, respecting who you are, going towards what you actually like in life and who you want to be, instead of trying to please other people. And that is not easy work. That is really hard work when you are literally shifting dynamics. Here's how I reframe this step. I've had to make a re-entry and a return as a changed person several times over the last many years. Here are some tools that have helped me. First, a reframe. It's okay to refuse the return when it doesn't feel safe yet and it feels scary. I would say find ways to build in safety. So here are my resources and tools. Mantras can be very powerful, and I like a mantra to sort of anchor me in. It's really important when you're in this step to start learning how to detach from the validation from other people, to start to find that in yourself. And that's not easy, but some of the ways you can do it are to have a mantra. And maybe one mantra can be, who I am is safe, or it's safe to be my new self, or I can trust what is emerging inside of me. Something that can anchor you back when you're starting to feel scared or worried or stressed out about how your newer self will be received. And the next tool is really around journaling. I think that awareness is such a big step here, to become aware of what it is you're thinking and believing so that you can start to question that. Because sometimes if you're not actively journaling, you just have feelings bubbling up and it's overwhelming and you're scared and you can't manage a big, scary feeling, but you can manage a thought of, what if everyone hates the new me? Or what if I've changed so much that people will be upset? That one thought will then be like, no, that's insane. They love me. Why would they do that? Why wouldn't they support me? And then you can start to question that and come up with better beliefs or better thoughts. That's another tool, is to just sort of write down what it is you're scared of so that you can start to put a real handle on where it is and what you're thinking and what you're truly afraid of, instead of trying to battle some in the dark fear. Another tool is to really start to recognize when this has happened, when you're starting to avoid returning. Start to understand that it's really out of fear and that it's your job to build safety and to fortify yourself enough to make the return. You know it's coming. And so just start building in the reps to get you back into the real world, because you know it has to come eventually. For example, let's say I'm about to graduate. I don't have a job lined up and I'm really scared of the real world because I haven't had to be in it. I've really enjoyed the experience of being a college student. If I don't have the awareness that I'm just afraid of returning, then I might just apply to grad school thinking like, oh, this is a great decision. And I might spend $250,000 on really avoiding my fear of the real world. But if you can become aware that, oh, I'm actually just afraid of going out into the world. I don't actually want to go into grad school and learn this thing. Those are two very different life choices and very different conversations. Lastly, it's also knowing that it's okay to have a buffer, it's okay to refuse the return, but also knowing that you have to return. I hope these tools are really helpful for you. This is a really scary, hard place to be. If you want more of this, we will take a deeper dive next week and we'll go deeper into the refusal of the return. Thank you so much for being here. Have a great rest of your day.